So glad everyone is here for our roundtable discussion today about unlocking profitability and emerging opportunities in the food supply chain. We're so excited to have a robust panel with us today, a roundtable discussion we're going to have with several participants. And I would love to actually go around and have them introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our roundtable. Mufasa, you're the first one up. Would you like to introduce yourself and let us know your current position and what you're doing right now and what company you're with? That'd be excellent. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for so much for the invite, and I'm glad to be part of this roundtable. I'm Syed Mufassir. You can call me Mufassir. I'm originally from India, currently based here in Malaysia. I'm working with Ithaca group of companies, which is subsidiaries, or can you say the sister companies of Asahi Beverages, which is a well-known Japanese brand. Especially known for their beverages. So they have the another part of the business, which is halal unit, and we known here as a Ithaca. So as they cannot link the non-halal and halal part together, so that's why they separated the brand names. So as of now, I'm working in a capacity as a, supply chain and sustainability manager with them. I recently joined them. It's just been 3 months as of now. I'm working with their export business units. So I mostly focus on the export business operations. Mainly looking for in brief, I would say like sourcing the materials as well as finding the right partner, especially in Southeast Asia region and the Middle East. For our OEM and the private label operations, since our business is growing, and so we are running out of the capacity. So that's why we need to find the co-packers in the regions. And for the sustainability part, we have like quite few initiatives. The simply is like one of them reducing our scope 3 emissions, especially since we are into the export business. So a lot of our emissions comes from only the scope 3 part. So we are quite focused on that. The other initiatives our company is taking as of now to go the plastic, the recycled plastic applications. We committed like by 2030 to go the plastic neutral as of now. One more things I would like to share that as of now, all of our manufacturing units are running 100% renewable energy, which is like 70 to 20% comes from solar energy, and the remaining we purchase the premium green energy as of now. So yeah, this is a brief about me and my organization as of now. Thank you so much.
And we will get into some of those topics actually as we have our roundtable discussion, but thank you for sharing some of your sustainability achievements and also goals that are going on there at Pepsi in Malaysia. We appreciate that very much. Radit, can you come on and introduce yourself, please?
Riono, in full name, and you can call me Radit. I'm from Indonesia. My position right now is Logistic, warehouse inventory manager in one of US company, specialist in organic product sector. So my background almost in organic food, almost 6 years. And our company is still growing, especially during COVID period, because there is a panic buying, especially in US market, and our growth until 2 digits is so big for us. So until right now we grow up again and again, and uh, around the next 3 years, almost 100% from based on year condition. So the company running very, very well, and uh, projection in the future is still very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Yep.
Excited to have you with us. Do we have any other roundtable guests that have joined? Okay. Are you there, Anna? Hi, would you like to come on, and we're just having you introduce yourself?
Sorry for... Yeah, okay. Do you listen me okay? Yeah? Okay.
I can hear you just fine. We would love for you to introduce yourself and let us know what your position is, what company you're working with, just as a way of introduction.
Okay. I'm Anna Frigo. Nice to meet you to everybody. I am the factory logistic manager for Nestlé Purina in one plant in Italy. And I work in Nestlé for 10 years. I start in Purina in this year. I have in charge all the loading and unloading activity, the management of the stock, and also the management of the external warehouse. Also, of this, I have to organize all the transportation for the other affiliates that we have in Europe for Purina. Then I'm
Great.
coming from Nestlé Waters market, in which I follow different strategic project from logistic point of view.
Great. Thank you so much. Mufasir, I have the first question for you, and it's really about global events that are happening and our supply chain, because there have been a lot of global disruptions with the pandemic and geopolitical tensions that are happening right now that really affect supply chain. And how have you seen that, especially in Southeast Asia where you are? How have you seen that your supply chain evolve as a result of some of those challenges?
Thank you so much, Pam, for the questions. Yeah, it's concerning as of now. Since the last year, October, since I would say there are multiple events, the global events happening, and which really affecting the global supply chains, especially in Southeast Asia. There's something is happening in Europe or the Middle East, but it's still affecting the supply chain in the Southeast Asia region. So to name fewer, like the Russian-Ukraine war, I would say then the Red Sea crisis, since the Suez Canal is quite blocked. So as of now, since we are into the export operations, it's not only about our company, but the companies based here in Southeast Asia are really facing the issue to get the secure the containers. The logistic costs like moving around a threefold from, if you see the loss from October to the recent, the cost of the logistic and to secure the container and the ocean freight is like triple. So in that case, if we take the low margin products, it's really becoming really difficult to make it the profitable business. So that's why the loss of the customers or the distributor, they are like holding the orders or keeping it like to canceling the orders. That's the issue as of now we are facing here in Southeast Asia part of the world. And it's not only alone our company. I would say, like if you say the PepsiCo, if you name the Nestle as well as the Lactalis, almost each and everyone having the same issue. The other part, same times the price of the raw material, it's really going high. So which is making really worse situations for the company to sustain. And the other hand, since the orders are getting low and low due to the crisis, the distributor and the consumer, they're holding the purchasing order. These are the challenges of now we are facing here. Yeah, to enter a few.
Yes, I think you're not alone in some of those challenges. Radit or Anna, do you have anything that you would like to add to that from what you're seeing?
But
I will.
yes, no, please go, please go.
No, you first.
Okay,
Go ahead,
thank
Anna.
you. No, I confirm the same, and also I add that we have to review completely the production planning of our factory, but also of the other factory connected with us, because really from a factory organizative point of view, we have to understand how to fulfill what, for example, is empty. Talking, for example, from Russia point of view or other global event that was happen. So this is another part that was critical and change the distribution of our product in the different warehouse. So we have to rearrange all the activity.
Right, and you have to think about your inventories in the different areas and how you're gonna meet your orders as far as rearranging, right?
Yes, because we completely change the balance that we have before the events and after the events. So we have to really take control of what's happened in a really few moments in a fast way.
Absolutely. Radit, what would you like to add?
Yeah, thank you very much. We will add a little bit. Always the same with the faucet, and very concerned with ocean freight because ocean freight too high when COVID period, and especially for US out of the destination. And I'm still remember at the time when the freight very high, something sometimes we look at this case as problem, but sometimes we look at this case as opportunity. It's mean because the condition is not normal for everyone, especially for our competitor, right? So we can take benefit. This is a battle between logistic and logistic or export import department. Sometimes in certain company we call it in different name. But I want to say this is very good because at that moment we always win because buyer always request to us how about your rate to this port of destination, and after the compare one by one because we have strategic uh, contract with certain shipping line and forwarder. So at that moment when buyer when competitor cannot provide the order to buyer, but when they ask uh, to our company, yes, we can provide because almost concern from the buyer is ETA. So they very concerned and want to secure availability inventory in destination.
Yeah, so Radit, you're in a unique situation from the other two who work with larger companies. You're actually a supplier of organic materials. So
Yeah,
you can serve, what I'm hearing you say is that you're ready and willing to serve as an alternative to somebody who might be having trouble with their sourcing as well, right? That's your opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah, so
If
that's helpful. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Mufas.
Yeah, I just would like to follow up with the Reddit, just trying to understand where is your supply chain basically based in. It's like there in Indonesia or you source from outside and all. Yeah, just to get a more clarity on that. Yeah, if you can share a little bit on that. Yeah.
Yeah. My turn to explain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, for organic food, especially for coconut sugar, we are market leader on the market. So sometimes we can know uh, the competitor, what is the real buyer for them. Because right now we have like export news. I think for sales is very familiar now. Export news, so we can identify every buyer or exporting from Indonesia to overseas, of course. And of course, on sellers, after we know the real price, because I don't know the data provider or where the data come from, but almost the data 100% accurate, especially for the quantity and FOB. And after ourselves decide to offer quotation to buyer, and of course strategy the strategy from our company is we have internal farmer. Internal farmer it's mean 100% in the company. We don't need to collector um, the farmer. Because in Indonesia still so traditional, so many traditional transaction, traditional payment, etc. When we have internal farmer, we can secure our supply chain, especially for
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, great. Can we pause for just a second? Radit, if you could, when you speak, maybe hold your microphone is right here, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, we're having just a bit. You don't have to put it right in front of your mouth. Just hold it out just a little bit so we might be able to hear you a little bit better. Because I would love to talk to you about, because you deal in organic coconut material. And so with certifying things or verifying at the beginning of the supply chain that your items are organic, there are a lot of manual processes in place, I imagine. And you want to figure out how to not only possibly automate that, but also, empower the farmer in that way too. So what is your opinion? I mean, how can we improve the process that's happening there to validate the organic materials that you're starting with?
Yeah, it's very good question. In organic industry, there is two big issues. The first one is all about the technology because we just apply the technology. I mean, like website or portal to submit organic document after in the factory. I mean, transaction from the farmer to collector and collector factory still manual. And it's when audit happen, uh, very consume time because they have to check plan one by one, there is specified or not,
Yeah.
and on the transaction still manual on the field because technology is not good enough for the farmer level, especially in Indonesia. So there is so many improvement, either the capacity of the person and capacity of the facility, of course. And the second one, too much middleman on the transaction. So this is a very good question. So we have to put technology on that case. So like you said, we have to empower the farmer. It means the farmer direct to the factories will be very, very good.
Well, and as with our topic of unlocking profitability, I think that is an area certainly where you could see you could pull out some profits. Right now, it's a very manual process. Like you said, when you have an audit, it takes a lot of time to go back and manually figure out for each plan and track that back and to the farm. And if you could automate that and come up out of that manual process, you would be able to identify much quicker with a report, but also you wouldn't be questioning if things were, human error done correctly,
Yeah,
tracked back manually, correct?
that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
It's
Thank you
happened
for that
in
insight.
Indonesia.
Yeah. Do either of the other two, do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Mafasir, Anna?
No, for the moment,
Good on that. Yeah.
no.
Okay. Okay. Well, Anna, I would love to talk to you about sustainability. I know that you're working in some of those practices and they're really becoming essential. Do you have any that you might have implemented there at your factory level that you could share with us, maybe how you're trying to implement some sustainability practices, examples of any initiatives, particularly if you were trying to drive profitability, but we're talking about sustainability in general anyway.
No, is one of the most important arguments also in our society. So yes, in this particular factory, not yet, but what we are thinking about is for some shipment to have electric truck, for example, or increase where is possible the movements by train, something like this for the moment.
Yeah.
And we are focused a lot on these two types.
As far as logistics, what
Yeah,
is
for the- yeah.
happening? Yeah. What is happening now?
And for Nestlé, there is a group that is completely specialized on the sustainability and launch a different project in different factory related to this type, so electric truck, multimodal travel, and so on. And based on this, they have to check also the emission that we do every month and every month and implement other different projects if they see that not reach what is requested also for law for the next years.
Okay. Mufasir, I know that we talked about some of the challenges that are going on globally and how supply chain might be reacting to that. But there's also a lot, especially in the sustainability area, a lot of regulations, really for everyone to speak to. How can we meet some of those governance requirements and regulations that are coming in the areas of sustainability while also thinking about the profitability of our businesses?
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic to discuss on. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah.
It's since we are talking about, like, let's say the Southeast Asian region, or let's say the globally, the sustainability norms and the policies every a month or something, that governments are coming up with something new, right? Since a lot of countries already, especially in the Southeast Asia, they are committed to the net zero targets. Like, let's say it's either 2030 or other say it's 2050, right? So it's not only about the country, which means the part of the organizations which are based there in the region, they needs to be aligned with that goal as well to achieve that net zero target, either say or the net zero or the plastic neutral target, right? So day by day, the policies are reshaping. The government is taking the initiative, and they really want the organizations to be part of it, to be the part of that journey to be the net zero. The policy, to mention few, is like currently, before it was like, if we say the Southern Asia region, or let's say Malaysia, it was only required for the public listed company to do the ESG reporting part of thing. But as of now, they put the criteria, like a company who is generating around the 1.5 billion of $1 billion as a revenue, they also need to report the ESG reporting. They also need to do the ESG reporting and align with the government regulations, right? They also want, so this is one of the requirements, just to mention. So since the company is not listed, but also they need to go for the listing, the reporting part of it. The currently the supply chains, since the government policy is moving, the supply chain is really moving really fast. People or organizations looking for to produce the local instead of having sourcing the raw materials from outside. So I have seen a lot of a shift in the supply chain. Like, to mention that, if say Nestle, a lot of their cocoa production or coffee production comes from the outside. Almost 70 to 80%, just to name that, for their production, either say the Milo, either their other chocolates product, or the Kit Kat, which is the best product. So it comes from the outside. What they are doing as of now, they are empowering the local cocoa production farmers to shift their supply chain and increase the cocoa production here in Malaysia. So the plan is like maybe in 2025 or 2030 to get the certain percentage of cocoa production here in Malaysia. So they no need to source from the outside. And basically it will help them to reduce their CO2 emission as well within their supply chains. So these are the government policies are shifting the supply chain within a region. So that's what I see as of now and currently. Yeah.
Yeah. So the policies are shifting and making them source more locally is what I'm hearing you say. Yeah, which would be good for sustainability and also probably profitability, I would imagine. I mean, that might be a way. Of course, with the regulation or the governance, it's a little bit forced, but it also is a way for them to be able to improve their profitability and pull some money out by making changes in the supply chain and shifting that a bit.
Yeah.
Anna,
So if I can add on to that.
Oh, please. Thank you.
Yeah. If I add on to that, one more example is that in Thailand, they have the restriction for the specific quota for the milk and for the coffee. So after the certain amount, once you fulfill your quota, you cannot source anymore the raw materials, right? So it's making it challenging. That's one of the policy of the Thailand government. So you need to secure your quota of the coffee and the milk in advance if you want to secure your production capacity, right? So that's one of the another challenges. Either the other option is to buy the premium quantity, which will increase the cost of productions, cost of raw material, and basically it will impact the consumer base because you need to increase the cost of product as well, right? Exactly. These are the policies, initiatives government are taking, and that's will really moving the supply chains. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that seen as a positive or negative?
I would say for the international companies who is like doing the OEM or some kind of things in the region or in Thailand, that's not really a positive things because they will struggle to save their quota, right? But for the local company, it is really helpful. It will provide kind of security for the local productions or small business units. to really boost their productions or their business. So I think to
Yeah.
secure as a local, is a positive things. But if you really want to consider it as a global supply chain, then it may not be the good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your insight on that. I appreciate it. I didn't mean to just ask you that question out, but I think it's important that some of these changes and supply chain differences and shifting, there are some winners and some losers. I mean, it's
Some
going to be good
losers,
for
yeah.
some and not as good for others. And thank you for bringing that out and having that insight. Anna, do you deal with that front end for Purina with where you are? As
No,
far as
I'm no
sourcing?
is out of my competency. Yes,
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
only that one instead of the inside the factory.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, let's move on to maybe some emerging technologies. I would love to hear what your insights might be as far as any kind of emerging technologies or innovations that you think might present the biggest opportunities for improving efficiency or transparency in the food supply chain. And you know, and how that might help your brand if you're able to improve your transparency, traceability, you know, insight into the supply chain. I don't have this directed to anyone in particular. If someone wants to start.
How about me? I can
Okay, Radit.
explain some of the things. Yeah, I
Thanks,
like
Radit.
yeah, as I said before, especially for organic food, there is so many things that we have to improve, especially for technology. And I'm so concerned that the critical point for me is transaction of food between farmer and farmer. Let's say we assume there is no connector, assume there is no middleman on the transaction, it would be very good. But we have to educate the farmer on the field, and almost farmer normally in Indonesia so far from the city. So the education, the technology is far away from us, the difference too big. So if we want to educate them, we have to know their condition, because maybe in the next generation, not on this generation, because they have child and grandson and etc. So in the future, I do believe it's only about the time. I do believe it's only about the time. Farmer direct to family. There is no middleman or collector in the transaction. So it will be very, very good for the farmer. And I know right now, especially for Indonesia, I want to inform you, being a farmer is not sexy again anymore. But in the future, I do believe because food, if we can control the food, sometimes we can control the world, right? So farmer will be very, very interesting in the future. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your insight on that. Yep. Yeah. So, Mafasir, do you have any thoughts on that? Any emerging technologies? There's a lot happening innovation wise in the food supply.
Supply chain, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AI is a trending thing as of now, right? If you go everywhere,
Yeah.
everyone is talking about AI, and that's how it's shaping the supply chain. Just to name one, as I earlier mentioned about the Nestle, right? So they are working with the farmer, especially the cocoa farmer. So I recently read one reports what they are doing, what are the challenges farmers are facing, because lots of Malaysian farmers, they are switching from cocoa productions to the palm oil, which is more revenue generating and easy for them to do the plantations, right? So the challenges which they mention is that the labor work, it's really hard to get the labors as of now, especially when they need to do the pruning process, local sorting and productions, this all the manual work, right? And that's increased the cost of production as well. So what they come as Nestle come up with the technologies, right? They are taking a help of the drones. So the proving purpose, they are doing uh, they recently discussed this opportunity. This is not yet in the already in the Wonky, but is in discussions, right? They're exploring the possibilities that to bring the AI technology and mix it, integrate it with the drone technology, And instead of doing the pruning and everything, just reduce the manpower and do it with the help of drones. That will really help the farmers. Of course, it's required the capital investment initially, but in the long term, it's gonna be successful. So to increase or boost the cocoa production here in Malaysia, they are taking the help of technology, which is the drone and the AI. So this kind of initiative, as of I'm seeing here in Malaysia and Southeast Asia regions, just to name one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great example of how that might help, because the reality is we do want to keep our farmers farming, but some of their numbers are dwindling. There's a lot of education needed to help them understand some of these technologies. But if we can bring in the AI and drone technology, like you're talking about, to help them in the growing process to see what's happening. I mean, it's kind of like having people on the ground, but they're not people. So you can have the best of both worlds. Radit, you're involved with regenerative agriculture as well. So are there some technologies in there that might be helpful as far as assessing soil health or being able to verify what you're doing there in regenerative agriculture?
Yeah, it's very good question. Regenerative. We have regenerative certified, and not only regenerative, but we have uh, fair trade certification. So at least there is third party to secure that we are certified and we very concerned with the farmer. But this question, regenerative is mean we not only think about right now condition, but the future condition. And in the technical area, there is so many tools in output to provide the farmer like CSR, so like tools for farming on the field, something like that. So there is so many proposal to get that certified. And for your information, in Indonesia, for coconut sugar industry, just 1 or 2% that have ROC, regenerative organic certified. So ROC is very sexy right now. And this is like the upgrade of organic upgrade. Not, what I mean is not related organic, but organic is almost the competitor you have that one. But right now, um, our buyer try to level up to be ROC, not only organic, but you have to think the future. How about the field? How about the farmer? How about the plant? Something like that.
Right, right. Well, and along those lines, I think some of those initiatives are really being pushed by consumers who are wanting us to support our farmers more, give them more education, pay them fairly, and be able to, consumers are demanding to know where their source materials are coming from, even though they might go to manufacturing and then be changed. We want transparency, we want visibility into the supply chain. And so I guess some of the, when you think about, because you said, I mean, there's a cost. Mufassir, you were talking about the cost, capital investment up front to get some of these technologies in place. But then hopefully the consumer will step up and, somebody has to pay for the cost of some of these technologies. Or we can find out some efficiencies that we can implement in the supply chain to be able to pull some of that profitability and apply it to some of the technologies.
In short term, since it required a huge capital investment, maybe in the short term it's not going to be profitable. But as you mentioned, someone has to pay the cost, right? And then this production, when they source with the raw material, it falls under the premium category. And if anyone is sourcing it, he will think about that. If he's taking that raw material, he will think about the premiumizing the production as well. So someone has to pay the cost, and at the end, it's almost the consumer who pay the cost for it, right? So that one way or another, someone has to pay. So it sounds maybe not profit making in the beginning, but of course, in the long run, it's gonna be beneficial for both the supplier here in terms of farmers and as the sourcer, where in terms of the whoever the company sourcing the material. And it will really help them to not only make the profit in the long term, but to align with the government policies, reduce their CO2 emissions, either scope 1 or scope 3, and like, they will see the results in long term. So yeah, that's important to look at the future, yeah, instead of current, yeah.
There is that balance between, you know, the short term and the long term goals, really. And so, you know, as companies look to balance that, that's really what you were talking about, is how do we balance, you know, the short-term disruptions or costs that we might have, change in our procedures that we're going through, because when you're implementing new systems or new technologies, you are going to have to modify your procedures or your way of operating to accommodate that. And then how do we weigh that with long-term strategic goals, like you're talking about, you know, some of the scope 1, scope 3 different CO2 emissions goals. What do you have any advice for organizations, you know, as they're trying to navigate figuring out about those immediate challenges versus without losing sight of the long-term opportunities, I guess?
For the organizations who are going on this journey, of course, I always advise that they look at the future, keep in the mind what we are trying to achieve in the long term, right? The short-term goals are like low-hanging fruits. It's always good to take it and take on that journey, but they may not be the useful in the long run, right? Maybe in the short term, you will fall short to it, and whatever the process you're in, or the either it's the manufacturing process, either supply chain, you will run short in that, and you will face the issue in that process. So if you have a very well planned strategic long-term goals, and if you divide it into the different phases, let's say phase 1, 2, and 3, and you achieve it step by step, instead of just taking the long jump, that will make more sense, I would say.
Yeah.
So I always say, look at the future, plan ahead, and look for the technologies or the trends, whatever going outside now.
Yeah.
If you say, just to mention that, if you say the AI, lots of technologies which used to be like trending in just 2 or 3 years ago, they are not in a concept anymore. That AI is really shifting the trends, right? We used to talk about the ERP, we used to talk about the ERP system, right? But now everyone is incorporating AI into that. So the old ERP system is not efficient anymore, right? It's just a shift in 1 or 2 years. So that's going to happen. So who are already prepared for it, they are ready for the market. But who were not, they were like short-sighted. They are really struggling to shift towards that. And now the cost is really increased. So now they will have to pay more than what they supposed to pay earlier, right? So that's I always for the organizations always needs to be look at the future. What's coming next, and then plan your strategies in that manner.
Yeah, thank you, Mufassir, because the phased implementation, you know, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, Radit, you were talking to that as well, with looking to the future, like, don't just see where you are now, because you're going to have to be moving.
Yes, correct.
And that's your philosophy with what you're doing with your farms as well.
Yeah, because we have internal farmer, so we have a good control on farmer. And for a big homework for us, especially for the coconut sugar, is from the collector, because the collector from so many farmer, and sometimes we want to develop to get regenerative or certified. It's a little bit difficult. But for internal farmer, we can guarantee because they are 100% under our structure. So yeah, because we are the market leader and we know very, very well, and we are a pioneer in Indonesia. So sometimes they are followers basically. So when we move to get ROC, of course, maybe 3 or 4 years, they will try to get the same thing like us.
You'll have, yeah. And that you're in a different situation too. So it's nice to have a couple different views of how change and technology and implementation might affect that. You know, in the food industry supply chain, it's always been very siloed and not a lot of communication across from stakeholder to stakeholder within the supply chain. Do you think the implementation of some technologies will be helpful for that?
Yeah, for me, 100% will be very helpful because, right
It was a
now,
leading
internet,
question. Sorry, right.
apologies everyone. But yeah, as we can see in this situation, like internet, we can access from everywhere. Uh, I don't want to spell the brand, I think everyone know with the brand. We can access
Mhm.
from the mountain, the sea, and etc. So basic communication between one party to another party is internet. We can access right now, but the capability of the person still big homework for us.
Yeah. Mufassir, any comment?
Yeah, I think I totally relate with what Radhi said. So yeah, share the same things with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, along the lines of kind of collaboration and cooperation, I mean, really partnerships almost across the supply chain. I mean, it seems like that's really a key factor for success, for there to be some collaboration and certainly communication that way. I mean, have you experienced how any partnerships, it might be with governments or NGOs or technology providers or even other brands, have you seen where that might help you overcome some challenges and maybe open up new opportunities? Have you experienced that at all?
Uh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much
Okay.
for the questions.
Yeah.
For this one, really interesting topic, right? Uh, as of now, for the organization to work standalone, it's challenging. It's challenging not only for, I mean, almost for everything. So whatever we get the helping hands, that's really useful. Either it's the government and it's the other NGOs or what is in whatever capacity the other organization. So I have seen that the now the organization started working in collaborations either with the government or the NGO, the together, right? So in terms of like we have governments are rolling out the policies, like you must have the CSR activities, you must have the profit sharing abilities, right? So in terms
Yeah.
of that, it's always good to work with the different kind of NGOs. To name one, like we recently discussed with there is one organization called the Lost Food Projects. What they do, they basically repurpose and reuse the uh, whatever the available foods there with the organization manufacturing unit, uh, and they redistribute it to the needy ones, whatever the um, capability out there, right? So this is one kind of initiatives which are organization doing. As of now, there is one organization to name is like Sime Darby Properties or Sime Darby Plantations, right? So they help an organization to reduce their CO2 emission by doing the tree plantations. So
Ah,
Nestle collaborated with them. They took on the project. They planted around 3 million or more than 3 million trees, which really helped them to go for to claim their CO2, their carbon credit, right? So these kind of initiatives to work with the government and NGOs are really helpful uh, and the helping hand. So to doing it standalone by the organizations, it's really challenging. But when you collaborate, either it's the government, either with the NGOs, it's really helpful in that terms. Yeah.
yeah. So thanks for sharing your experience in that area. I appreciate it. Radit, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I have, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, because we are for engineering company, not local company or domestic company. We don't get any facility from government, but for our competitor from domestic company, they got so many things for governments, starting education from farmer and reporting, financial reporting, ERP, enterprise resource planning, and etc. So it's very good for them to catch up the gap between of us. And for one of the investor, our new investors, try to develop uh, the carbon report. I mean, they invest, but separately, you have to do this one because the trend, the global global supply chain, global business trying to get uh, emission carbon. So they don't look at us right now, audition, but in the future with very clear big map, uh, we have to price, sustainability report especially, and we can, to be a global player again.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of opportunity coming up. I mean, as we implement automation across the supply chain, as you know,
Yep.
Farm to Plate is sponsoring this roundtable, and they have a very robust product in the food supply chain. And part of the goal is to enable that collaboration and cooperation with the data points that make sense. Of course, nothing that you don't want to be sharing, but about the food and what's happening with it and moving across the supply chain and providing the consumers with that traceability and insight into the supply chain. So profitability wise, I think we talked a little bit about the benefits of digitization as we were talking about some of the automation you brought up with the AI and drones and different things, but there's also some, I think, profit to be pulled out of the supply chain and utilized for some of the technology implementation when you can streamline some of the operations. We were talking about maybe the manual efforts that are happening in the organic space and certainly in other spaces just at the farmer level, if we can automate some of that. Do you see some other opportunities for digitization and automation to maybe, I guess I'm visualizing it as kind of pull out some profitability from the supply chain that might be lost right now in extra labor costs or pilferage or spoilage or other areas?
It's for Radit or
Either one,
anyway.
actually. I'm just having a conversation. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I should
You
have
first, Fasir.
No worries. Yeah.
directing.
No worries. Yes, to just share. I think it's more related to Radit since he's working with the organic farming and all thing. And
Yeah.
I just recently read one article and about the one company. So I think it's really related with the Radit. So I would like to share since it's about the profitability and the productivity and how the technology, either it's AI or in other terms, it's enhancing the organization productivity as well as the profitability. So there is one organization just I read day before yesterday, name as Carbotech. They come up with the new technology. Their product is that is a photosynthesizer, which enhance the life cycle of the product of the plant, right? So whatever the plant is, they increase its life cycle because of photosynthesis. They grow really fast. So the farmer usually they used to take a one crop or two crop in a year. Now they are taking 2 to 3 crops in a year, and which means that it increased their profitability by 20 to 30% or more than that because they are having higher productivity. So that's how this is one kind of biotechnology, uh, but it's really helping to boost the productivity as well as the profitability of the farmers. So that's how the new emerging technologies are evolving with the time. So as you say, the manual work may not be that efficient because it incurs a lots of costs. And if you go with the technologies, as I mentioned about earlier about the drone technology, which will require high investment, high capital investment, right? So the other hand, the organization come up with the product, right? You just use that product and you can increase the productivity just by using it, maybe by twofold or threefold. So that's how the technologies are evolving as of now. So that's just one info to share, and maybe it's helpful for Radit. So probably you can check if you can, if you can use that product. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fasir. I will try to find out more. Of course, definitely. Thank you very much.
You'll both have to
And
connect afterwards.
Yeah.
of course, of
Of
course.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will add a little bit comment
Yeah,
for the
please.
question. Yeah, I want to try to look at from farmer point of view. We talk about the big things, but we have to understand the condition. What I want to say, if someone can provide the very easy technology for the farmer with friendly user interface, it will be very helpful. It's mean, okay, I have to upgrade with technology, but don't make it so complicated for me. It's very helpful for them. But after they input the data about plan maybe or the transaction, there is third party, maybe someone, I don't know, can collect the information or from the buyer side. This is very helpful for the farmer and make it simple for them. It's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, because I think that's really important as we consider implementing different technologies and certainly changing how we're collecting information at different points in the supply chain, that we consider who's at that point in the supply chain and what their needs are, and maybe what they're currently doing and how we can make it easy for them to make the change, because everyone's resistant to change normally, just naturally. And so if we
Yeah.
can just make that, an easy transition and give them some benefits, maybe in time
Yes.
savings to be able to do other things that they need to do. And certainly in I see, but I'm very pro technology. I love technology, and I just see so many positives for the farmer to be able to get some analytics on their activities instead of everything being so manual. So, as we think about helping them to transition to new systems and new abilities and have that future thinking that you were talking about, Radit, considering, what the benefits are to them, I think would be really helpful. You agree?
Yeah, I do agree because, separately, not only about the transaction, but the farmer can, can understand the development of their internal farmer. I mean, okay, for certain condition, let's say in this month, my plant can produce 10 metric tons, but in the future, I don't need to, collect my paper. I just look at in my application. Last
Right.
month, 10 metric tons. This month, 12 metric tons, and projection for the future because we have new plan on the field, maybe 15 metric tons, something like that. So if we look at from the farmer perception, so many things that they can automatically look at from the screen, not only
Yeah.
no need to open the paper and ask one by one to the related person, something like that. So
Yeah.
automatically transaction comparison, something like that's very helpful for farming.
Yeah, and certainly in the audit situation that you brought up,
Yep.
back towards the beginning of our conversation, it would be so much more helpful there to be able to have that information reportable instead of having to manually go back and figure all of that out. Well, as we close out, I would love to give each of you an opportunity to share anything additional that we did not touch on today. And because I really appreciate all of the information you have shared from your experience and your current situation. But is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go about, supply chain profitability, trying to implement emerging technologies, anything that you're seeing happening in your space that we weren't able to cover?
Yeah,
Mufasa, you want to go first?
yeah, sure. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for these
Thank you.
questions. Uh, I would like to say it's kind of, I can say my personal view or something. Since we are discussing about the supply chain and sustainability aligned with that, right? So we often see that it's more becoming kind of greenwashing, I would say, instead of having them really impactful or meaningful uh, on the organization, others on the public. So people are like, or the organization are really trying to just fulfill the public policies or criteria created by the government instead of taking it more seriously, right? I often see that most of the companies that instead of going for on the sustainability journey, they just simply buy the carbon credit and offset their whatever the carbon emissions they have as of now, right? So that's a simple option for them. Once they have the amount, I mean they have the finance in hand, they can just buy the carbon credit and just get rid of it, right? So I think this is not the
Yeah.
way going forward. Organization really need to think about that. As of now, we are really organization thinking about their manufacturing unit, their supply chains. But what about the peoples? The peoples are also part of the organization, right? So we also need to think about the biocapacity we have as of now, and the ecological footprint which we are creating as of now, right? We need to be, it should be in alignment the whatever biocapacity which we have as of now. If we just take a Southeast Asia, it says that maybe probably we need a 3 or 4 more Earth to just balance it or to provide our current requirement, right? So how we can do that? How we can reach that the ratio become 1:1 or maybe 0.5:1? That's really important, and that's organizations everyone need to think about as of now. That's what I feel. Yeah. Just to share and brief. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Radit, anything?
Yeah, it's very simple for me. Simple word. I hope there is someone can provide technology for the farmer with cheap price or zero price. It will be very good. But after a time, maybe they can charge just a little bit from the farmer. But I hope that happen because as far as I know, in current condition, there is no someone who provide this case. So still big opportunity to technology company maybe to give more attention for the farmer, especially for food supply chain for global market.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, and I appreciate your farmer's perspective. Just a minor plug here, but you know that Farm to Plate has a Tip the Farmer
Yep.
application.
Of course.
So yes, they have thought about that, and I know very much focused on. I mean, that's the beginning of our food supply, so very important part of the food supply chain. Well, thank you so much for both of you, your time, and mainly from your experience and what you see happening right now with the companies that you're working with in the food industry and in the supply chain and what's happening in the world. We really appreciate you sharing with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you
Thank you
very
so
much,
much. Thank you so much, Farm, and give it the opportunity to share our experiences and view. Really glad to be the part of the roundtable discussions. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, and I appreciate you bringing, I mean, you have lots of years of supply chain experience. So please, thank you so much for bringing that perspective and what you've already experienced and what you're seeing happening now to us. We really appreciate it very much. And to those of you who were here supporting us, thank you for being with us on this roundtable discussion, all of you that are back there. I know everybody's on mute. But thank you so much, and I will give you your day back. We appreciate you being with us.
Thank
you
you.
very
All
much,
right.
everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.